Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a fascinating theological document you sent us called Talking About Jesus.
Right. And it outlines this pretty radical path for spiritual alignment.
It really does. So
Yeah.
our mission today is to cut right to the core of it. What does this document actually mean by abiding?
And what's the huge promise payoff for someone who does?
Exactly.
Well, the premise is it's actually pretty simple but powerful. If you abide in Jesus,
hmm
he abides in you.
Okay.
And the result, according to this source, is this massive recalibration of your inner life. His will doesn't just feel like a list of rules anymore.
It becomes something you actually want.
It becomes your true, deep heart's desire.
Okay, so let's unpack that because abiding can sound a bit abstract, right? It's not just intellectual agreement like, more than just believing something in your head. What does it actually look like?
That's a perfect way to frame it. The source defines it as, intentionally remaining in step, treating his presence not as some distant theory,
But as something real.
as a living reality that actually governs your daily choices. It means resting in his strength, which is totally different from trying to, generate your own.
And this is where that central metaphor comes in, right? The vine and the branch, which explains how that strength flows.
Exactly. The analogy is all about dependence. A branch can't bear fruit, grapes, whatever, unless it's fully connected to the
It
vine.
has no power on its own.
None. The believer can't produce what the source calls spiritual fruit without that connection. The connection is the conduit. It's what allows his joy, his peace, all of it to actively flow into you.
So the insight isn't try harder to be a good person. It's that the connection itself does the transforming, almost effortlessly.
Precisely, it's an inside-out shaping.
Yeah.
The text gets really specific here. It says, his gentleness works to soften our harshness,
Mm-hmm.
and his humility starts to break down our pride. His love becomes the anchor for our wavering hearts. It's more of a borrowed character than a self-made one.
Okay, so if the connection is the power source, what's the operating manual? The source is clear that Scripture acts as a guiding light. How does that fit in?
Yeah, its role is vital. It
Yeah.
it illuminates the path, gives wisdom, sure, but it goes deeper. As you meditate on it, it actively corrects wrong desires.
So it's like an internal compass getting reset.
That's a great way to put it. It helps you see where you've wandered off and anchors you back in those foundational promises.
This next part is what really stood out to me. The way this recalibration changes your whole approach to obedience.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge.
Because, let's be honest, obedience often feels like a burden, a duty. But the source claims abiding transforms it into a delight.
And what's fascinating is why. The motivation just completely flips from obligation to love.
Because you trust the person giving the command.
Exactly. You trust the loving nature of the commander. The vine sow obedience becomes this natural, willing expression of love. It stops being about checking a box.
Your heart is just drawn toward it. So that ultimate question they pose captures this perfectly. An abiding person isn't asking, how much do I have to do to pass?
No, the question becomes, Lord, how can I love you more? How can I serve you better? It's a completely different mindset.
And that desire is the real evidence that everything's aligned.
That's it. The big promise here is that abiding is the key to a fruitful, joyful, even victorious life. It brings purpose and priority to everything.
So when you boil it all down, the pathway is clear. Draw near, stay rooted in the Word, and just rest in that connection.
That's the prerequisite. It's the starting point for the kind of life this document is describing.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to mull over. Reflect on the distinction between required obedience and joyful devotion. How does the expectation behind a command fundamentally change how it's received?